Welcome back, listeners, to another episode of The Snake Pit. I'm your host, Son of Bat, and today I wanted to review, and for my sins, they gave me one. I'm going to be talking about the 1979 war epic Apocalypse Now, directed by Francis Ford Coppola, and I honestly don't know what to say about this movie that hasn't already been said. It is a certified classic, quintessential Vietnam War movie up there with the likes of The Deer Hunter, Full Metal Jacket, Platoon, Hamburger Hill, We Were Soldiers. Just all around great movie. Almost never made. The most expensive war movie, almost never made. Kind of like how they depicted in Tropic Thunder. And a lot of crazy stuff happened. A lot of, casualties, near deaths, insanity, being pushed to the brink of insanity. Just insane movie captured on celluloid. And, it's not a traditional horror movie, but I was flipping through this book called Video Hound's Horror Show, 999 Hair-Raising, Hellish, and Humorous Movies. And this covers a whole wide range of horror, sci-fi type movies. Some amazing, some, good, some mid, and some shit. But Apocalypse Now is one of the first movies to come up. And after flipping through that, I was like, I've seen the Redux version, but I never seen the theatrical version. And I got this DVD, which is actually going to be the focal point of the review. It's Apocalypse Now, the Complete Dossier edition. This comes with the Redux version and the theatrical version. And like I said, I'd never seen the theatrical version. I've only seen the Redux version, and I wanted to see, which cut was better. And we're going to get into that a little bit later. But right now I'll get into some of the, details of the movie for those of you who don't know. It's directed by Francis Ford Coppola, written by John Milius and Coppola. Says here narration Michael Herr. I don't remember a narration, but whatever. Starring Marlon Brando, Robert Duvall, Martin Sheen, Frederick Forrest, Albert Hall, Sam Bottoms, Larry Fishburne, and Dennis Hopper, just among a few. Cinematography by Vittorio Storaro. Sorry, I'm a little baked right now, guys. Edited by Richard Marks, Walter Murch, Gerald B. Greenberg, and Lisa Frutchman. Music by Carmine Coppola and Francis Coppola. And production company Omni Zoetrope. And distributed by United Artists. This was released in 1979 with a running time of 147 minutes with the regular cut and 153 minutes for, I assume, the work print cut and what would later be the Redux cut. And it was made on a budget of $31 million, and it grossed $104.8 million worldwide. It's a lot of money made, and, it deserved it. This movie, like I said, almost killed the director. It almost killed Martin Sheen. The mental breakdown scene he has at the beginning of the movie was 100% real. There's a documentary, actually, I highly recommend you guys check out if you're interested in the process of how this movie was made and almost how it never came out. It's called Hearts of Darkness, A Filmmaker's Apocalypse, released in 1991. Really crazy shit. Highly recommend you guys check that out if you're a huge Apocalypse Now fan, or if you're a filmmaking fan and you want to see how crazy shit can get. This movie is wild. Like I said, a lot of people know what it is, so I'll just give a brief summary of the plot. Captain Willard, played by Martin Sheen, is like this black ops agent, and he gets sent into the jungles of Vietnam up the river to go to Cambodia, and his assignment is to assassinate Colonel Kurtz because he's reportedly gone insane, and he's led a battalion of devoted troops and tribals in the jungle who worship him like a god. So yeah, he takes this boat with a bunch of other soldiers, and along the way, it's like this drive into madness, like going literally into the heart of darkness. Which, funny enough, this movie is based off the loosely based off the 1899 Joseph Conrad novel Heart of Darkness, and it is very similar to this movie. But the only difference really is the time and the setting. In the book, it's the 19th century in the Congo. Here, it's 1960s Vietnam, but it really works, and it is truly a wild parallel. I recommend you read that book too. It's a quick read, and it's a classic. Check it out. Don't be fucking lazy. Another thing that also, while I'm on it, I might as well bring it up. If you've ever played Far Cry 2, that game is a lot like Heart of Darkness as well, and that is a fucking scary action game. I highly recommend it. Personally, one of my favorites in the series. Super cool, super fucking cool knowing that it has a tie to this. And yeah, so what I wanted to get into really is the DVD, and it is a very cool DVD. Like, it is the complete 2 versions of the movie. Well, now there's 3 versions because there's the complete cut on 4K, which I haven't checked out, so I can't vouch for it. But basically, the Redux version, I believe, came out in 2001 as the definitive director's cut, and still not as many cuts as Blade Runner, but this one is kind of divisive amongst fans, mainly due to the extended sequence at the French plantation, which for historical context, it makes sense because the French did colonize Vietnam and they technically were at war with the Vietnamese way before America jumped in. So in terms of historical context and accuracy, it makes sense to have this here, but a lot of people say it takes away from the movie. Now, like I said, I had never seen the theatrical up until this point. I've only seen the Redux, so I remember it being pretty cool, this really long, somewhat boring scene, let's be honest, and then it goes back into the shit. There are some scenes in the Redux version, having seen the theatrical now, that I do miss, and that being, more scenes on the compound. You get more insight to the troops that Kurtz has been leading. Like, there's a role with Scott Glenn that has been significantly cut down from the theatrical, and I think all of that kind of stuff was really cool. There's a reintroduction of the Playboy bunnies that you see earlier, and they're, like, stranded, and some crazy shit goes down, and I think that was some pretty cool stuff they should have left in to add to the intensity and the paranoia and horror of the movie. But that plantation scene is very long. Having seen the theatrical cut, though, now, I have to say I personally prefer the theatrical cut. I think it's more streamlined. It's a direct descent into madness, and it just, I like long movies, but it didn't drag. It just went it kind of went a little too fast. I was like, oh man, it's already over. But at the same time, I didn't have that huge drag that's in the middle of the movie. And, no disrespect, because, it's a well-made scene. It's just very out of place. And I agree with the mob on this one. And I think it doesn't need to be there. The caveat with this DVD, though, it's a great release, but there's one thing in it that just bugs the living shit out of me. So the discs are split up in 2. And disc 1 is the first half of the regular cut, the first half of the Redux, and I think some bonus features. And then disc 2 is the second half of both cuts of the movie and more bonus features. So, like, you get halfway through the movie and the shit's getting intense, and then it stops and it's like, please insert disc 2 to continue movie. And that shit kind of takes you out, especially if you're like me and, you burned a few fucking cannons and you're trying to get maybe an acid flashback watching this thing and you're riding the wave. It just fucking takes you out of the movie, man. Like, it just really ruined it. And it kind of cheesed me, man. But, you put it in, and then it, like, what I'm basically getting at is they should have put the fucking theatrical on one disc, the Redux on another, and the special features on a third disc. And I know some of you in the comments are going to say, older DVDs and stuff, they couldn't do it. And I think that's kind of bullshit, because the Deer Hunter is about 3.5 hours and that shit's put on one disc. So if they could do it for the fucking Deer Hunter, I don't see why they couldn't have done it for Apocalypse Now. That's all I'm saying. But, other than that, the picture is really good. The sound's really good. It is a good DVD. It's just cheeses me that, the experience is kind of ruined by, like, switching discs and shit. But yeah, seen the movie a few times, and I can successfully say, though, that the theatrical version is a mile better than the Redux version. Maybe I'll check out the final cut. Maybe they re-added some of the scenes from the Redux that were better, and it's a longer but better movie. But who knows? I still haven't seen it, so if any of you know what the actual differences in that cut are, I would love to read it in the comments. But yeah, I definitely see this movie. It has its horrific elements. It's not a full-on horror movie, but it is a psychedelic nightmare, descent into hell. Really, really good shit. Maybe I'll go into some facts here while we're on the topic, but, Marlon Brando, he's, on the poster of the movie, he's one of the top billed actors, but he pulls like a fucking Anthony Hopkins, like Silence of the Lambs, in the sense that he's only really in the movie for 15 minutes, and it doesn't seem like a lot, but he really chews up the scenes he's there. He also showed up, like, really overweight and kind of just being a pain in the ass, which has been noted on other movies he's worked on, like The Island of Dr. Monroe and all that shit. But I still think he killed it. His role as Kurtz was really good. Lawrence Fishburne was actually 14, not 18 when he did this movie, which is kind of funny in the sense that in real life that parallels actual American troops who deployed into Vietnam. They, some of them lied about their age to get drafted in, and Lawrence Fishburne did the same thing. There was drug use on the set of the movie. I've heard rumors that Dennis Hopper, got Lawrence hooked on heroin. I don't know if that's true. I like Dennis Hopper as an actor, but he was a fucking crazy dude. So, I don't want to deny that happened. Each of the scenes where a member of the boat crew dies, purple smoke from a flare is visible. This is a similar element, kind of like in The Godfather, how before someone dies in The Godfather, you see an orange. So that's kind of a cool nod to other Coppola movies. And I swear in the Redux version, at least I remembered seeing Dennis Hopper's character getting killed. Now, I rewatched it just to make sure, and I couldn't find it. And then what I'm reading here is it's actually only in the bootleg work print cut of the movie. And that's something too I gotta recommend you guys check into. Work print cuts or bootleg work print cuts, whatever they're called. They're very interesting. I found one for American History X, and it really changes the tone of the movie. So maybe I should check out the work print of Apocalypse Now. It might even be crazier than the theatrical. Who knows? But that death scene, man, that would have been crazy because Dennis Hopper was fucking nuts in that movie, and he was pissing the fuck off of Colonel Kurtz. So I bet his death would have been interesting in that movie. One ending considered for the film was an airstrike that was going to destroy the temple. Explosives were rigged, but at the last minute he changed his mind, Coppola, feeling that the finale should represent the end of a war and the beginning of peace. So that explains the stealthy kind of kill Martin Sheen does. And I heard this rumor that fucking, because at the beginning and the end of the movie they play The End by The Doors, which is fucking amazing song. At this rate, this video or podcast is as long as that song, but that is a really fitting song for this movie. But I heard a rumor that, two Crazy Doors related rumors. One, the whole soundtrack of the movie was supposed to be The Doors, not just the end, which I think would have been really fucking cool. And the other thing is, apparently Jim Morrison was supposed to have Willard's part, and the script for Apocalypse Now, supposedly along with the white lighter and all that spooky shit, was in his hotel room when he died. Some sources say it was on his person when he died, but I'd never read that before, so I don't know. But that's crazy to think that Jim Morrison, was considering being the lead role in Apocalypse Now, and that would have been such a different and, fucking wild movie. On a side note, fucking rewatched it for the first time in a long time. The Doors, Oliver Stone, another cool movie. Hopefully I might, review at some point, but damn, man, would have been fucking wild. Robert Duvall also short. He has a really short role, but a lot of people remember his "I love the smell of napalm in the morning, smell like victory." Everyone remembers that shit. Fucking badass. Or the Charlie don't surf. He's not in it that long. I thought he was in the movie longer, but he's not in it as long as I thought. But he's still super memorable scene. Francis Ford Coppola actually plays a fucking director filming quote documentary footage for the Vietnam War. This is something that actually also shows up in Full Metal Jacket, although Stanley Kubrick doesn't actually play the guy filming the footage. Still an interesting thing. And I actually, now that I think about it, We Were Soldiers, they had photographers and stuff like that, and really crazy that element gets put into a lot of these movies. But yeah, my original census on this, I rate this DVD specifically, having it be split in half like this, I give it about, maybe an 8, because it's still a very good movie. The movie's a perfect 10 out of 10. The Redux version, I'd probably give that about a 7 out of 10, just because the length and the pace kind of fucks it up. But the theatrical version is a 10 out of 10 amazing movie. Managed to scoop a VHS copy of the theatrical cut, so I'm gonna rate the VHS a perfect 10 out of 10. But the Apocalypse Now Complete Dossier edition, it's a good special edition. If you're an enthusiast of this movie, if you're a fan of Coppola's movies, I highly recommend it. But if you can find a theatrical cut, I'd say that would be your best bet, because it wouldn't be split in half. Still not a bad release, and I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It's good to be back, and I don't know what I'm going to be doing next on the, what review I'm going to do next. Maybe it'll be a horror movie. Maybe it'll be a really fucked up crime movie. But, I'll smoke a doob and I'll figure it out. Peace.